This week on Oklahoma Horizon. Well, we examine a serious issue that affects 1 in 7 school-age children, schoolyard bullying. Our Andy Barth shows us some student films that give a glimpse into the impact that bullying can have on a young person's life. I sit down with the father of a young boy who took his own life after being bullied at school, and we'll see how the dad and others are trying to turn this tragedy into a springboard for change.
If I walk up to you on the street and I slap you beside the head, that's assault. And I can get arrested for that. But yet it happens in our hallways all day, every day. And that's kids will be kids?
Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
The schoolyard bully is certainly nothing new. Nearly everyone can remember someone in their childhood treating them with cruel intentions. Yet the commonness of bullying makes it no less painful for those experiencing it. Today, I sit down with an Oklahoman whose life is forever changed by bullying, and we'll find out how he's turning his family's tragedy into a worldwide movement. But before we do that, Andy Barth is here to tell us how one Oklahoma student organization is trying to stop bullying.
Rob, each year the Business Professionals of America, known as BPA, has its student members focus on an area important to young people. And this year it was bullying and the effects it can have on a person's life. More than 24 schools created their own videos to show their classmates. And while the accounts are dramatized and fictionalized, school bullying is a subject many of the students knew all too well.
What's up, Hunk? Oh, what's the matter? You look scared.
While the footage here may be fictional.
Why are you scared? Is it because the teacher's not here to save you? Huh? Your teacher's bad?
The problem is all too real.
You think you're better than me because you're stuck with the teacher? Huh? You think you're smarter than me? Huh? Is that it?
Victims cowering down.
You're not tough to me. Well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to do nothing.
And predators going for the kill.
Hey.
Across America, 1 in 7 students are bullied every day. And according to a bullying website, that adds up to 2.7 million victims.
I have been bullied. I've been bullied.
I've been bullied.
282,000 students are physically attacked each month, and 56% of their peers have personally witnessed some type of bullying while in school.
When people used to make fun of me, I used to go home and either try and just keep it bottled up, or I used to cut myself.
And it's estimated that 10% of youth today practice some type of self-harm before the age of 16. And of children under the age of 14, suicide is a leading cause of death.
I'm Valerie. Kelly is my daughter, was my daughter.
It's every parent's worst nightmare.
I noticed that things kind of started to change a little bit, especially the last 6 months or so. Her friend Sarah wasn't coming around as much. I asked Kelly about it, but it's kind of the typical teenage answer. Oh, it's fine, Mom, everything's fine.
But everything wasn't fine. Kelly was a victim of bullying.
I mean, I just didn't know. I didn't know that this was even, that something like this could even happen.
Unfortunately for Valerie, her worst nightmare came true.
I'm sure these kids didn't realize how much it was affecting Kelly. But the senseless, thoughtless actions, she took her own life.
Suicide rates in young teenagers have grown more than 50% over the last 3 decades, and bullying is the leading cause for these young children taking their own lives.
Ever since I can remember, I've been called names from Four Eyes back when I wore glasses to been called names about my sexual orientation, which is no one's business.
2 girls attacked me with a box blade and I ended up in the hospital with stitches in my stomach, staples in the back of my head, and glue on my left elbow. It took me about a week to heal, and I was afraid to go back to the place where it happened for quite a while.
Back in high school, I used to dress a lot differently than the people. I'd always look kind of weird, and a lot of the kids would bully me for it.
In middle school, a lot of people bullied me for my weight, and it hurt.
You know what I'm getting tired of? Seeing your ugly face.
A problem that many young people can't solve by themselves. Help from bullying can come from any number of places. An observant teacher, an attentive parent.
Wow, it takes 3 of you to mess with one guy.
Even a fellow student.
Well, I'm making it my business. Whatever, man.
Stopping the violence.
Hey man, I saw this happen to you yesterday. Does this happen a lot? Come on, man. Let's go get some lunch. I'll pay for it. Come on, man.
I didn't want to let that get me down, so I went to the gym and I worked out and I dieted and I did as many healthy things as I could, and now I'm above that.
I try to think of it as like, you know, look at them in their lives. They got to be really sad to pick on somebody else.
But after some time, I realized that this happens to everyone. Not the exact situation, but everyone is bullied in a specific way.
Now that I have grown older, I realized that was just some dumb middle school stuff.
I'm over it.
I've gotten over it.
Gotten over it.
I've gotten over it. Everyone can.
Each and every one of us has the ability to overcome bullying and become a better person. Together, we can.
Stop bullying!
Start moving!
Well, certainly a serious subject and a powerful depiction of it by these young students.
It is, Robin. I wish we had time to show all of the videos that I got to see, because you can tell just by the effort that they put into these videos just how important stopping bullying really is. And these videos are just a high-quality piece of work.
Well, go ahead and put them up online, and we'll link to them on our website, because I think it's certainly well worth anyone's time to watch. Good job, Andy.
Thank you, Rob.
When we return, I sit down with the father of a boy who took his own life after being bullied.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Across the country, the movie Bully is drawing critical praise for its stark depiction of bullying and its aftermath. It's a controversial documentary that tells the story of Tyfield Smalley, an 11-year-old Oklahoma boy who, after being picked on in school, took a .22 caliber gun, put it to his head, and killed himself. But the story does not end there. Joining me now is Ty's father, Kirk Smalley. Well, really, I don't know where to start except to say I'm sorry, and it seems almost unfathomable to me. Take me back to that time in May of 2010.
Rob, Ty had been being picked on for over 2 years, pretty much by the same kid. There was a group of kids that were involved, but in particular one. And, you know, his mama worked at the school, and she was up there almost every day, complaining, trying to get it to stop, making phone calls. And on that particular day, I guess Ty had finally had enough. He was sitting in the gym with his best friend. They were waiting on class to start. And this kid that had been picking on him came up and started in again. And Ty retaliated. He fought back. Most of the time, it's often the case that the second guy is always the one that gets caught. You know, it happens in sports all the time. The disturbance draws a referee or the teacher's eye, and they look over and they see that second guy take the swing every time, you know. And he was caught, he was suspended for 3 days, and his mama got called, and she went and picked him up and took him home. They were short-handed that day at work, and Laura had to go back. And she told Ty to do his homework, told him to do his chores, and told him we'd talk about it when we got home that evening. And she came home at 2:38 p.m. and she found out that he hadn't done his homework and chores. Instead, he'd killed himself on our bedroom floor. And I got a phone call at 2:39. And caller ID said it was Laura, and I answered, and she was screaming. You know, just screaming. And I tried and tried to calm her down and get her to tell me what was going on. And finally, I had to scream back at her, and I told her she had to just stop and tell me what was going on. And she managed to say, he's dead. He shot himself. And I asked her, who? And she said, Ty. And you know, since that day, Laura and I, we've talked to families all over this world of kids that have done this same thing. And, you know, I got a list of over 800 babies that have killed themselves because of being bullied. You know, the month of February of this year, we lost 9 kids to suicide in Oklahoma. 7 of them for sure because of being bullied, and we're not sure about the other 2. We lost another little boy 5 days ago in Oklahoma City, in Mount St. Mary's, from being bullied. And we gotta make it stop.
I agree. And I think that's where the story with your family really takes such a positive turn, is what's happened since Ty's death. If you would, tell me about Stand for the Silent.
Stand for the Silent was started by a group of OSU, OKC, Upward Bound students from 3 high schools in the Oklahoma City area. They heard about what happened to Ty, and as a summer project, they decided that they were going to make a difference. They were going to make this stop. I got in touch with their director, Francie Moss. We scheduled for me to go and talk to these kids, and it just kind of grew from there. We planned a rally at one of the high schools, Western Heights. That was on August 17th. We held our first rally. CNN actually attended that, Carol Costello. They filmed it, and then we planned a rally on the Oklahoma State Capitol South Lawn, and that rally snowballed. It went global. We had 23 rallies in the United States, across the nation, in 19 different states. We had 7 international rallies at the same time. We had 4 in Australia, 1 in Ireland, 1 in Spain, 1 in South Africa, 1 in Haiti, a couple up in Canada. You know, we went global with the message, and since then it's just, these kids have spread it every school that we've gone to. To date, Laura and I have been to over 440 schools. We've talked to right at 590,000 kids, and they keep spreading it.
So over 500,000 kids.
Yeah. That's in person we've presented to, and these kids spread it to people via the internet and via social media like you wouldn't believe. I have no doubt that we've reached over 2 million people with our message, just from these kids.
Give me some insight of what you find when you go into these schools. These are not isolated instances, are they?
No. We've been nationwide. We're going to Australia this summer to get it going over there. We've been to the little tiny schools in rural Oklahoma and rural Nebraska and Iowa. You know, we've been to one out in that was in a tin building in the middle of somebody's cow pasture, and they got this many kids, and they got bullying. And we've been to LA where the tough kids, gang members and stuff, and New York where the tough kids, inner city schools, and they've got bullying. This is not isolated. It happens everywhere. It happens all over society, not just in schools. And you know, there's most of the time you walk into a school and you get ready for a presentation and the kids start coming in and they're cutting up and being kids, you know, and then they hear the announcement, well, this is an assembly about bullying, and you can see them going, oh gosh, here we go again, another one of those, don't do this, be nice to each other, play well. And 2 minutes into our presentation, you can have an auditorium full of 2,200 kids and you can hear a pin drop for the next hour and 15 minutes, literally. They're silent. They hear what is going on. They hear Ty's story. They hear the story of several other children that we honor during our presentation and tell about, and they see similarities in what is going on in their hallways. Mm-hmm. And they realize that they can make a difference. And our main message is to all of them that I am somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's what we try to get out there. That they belong, they have a right to be who they are, that they have a right to be here, mm-hmm. and that we love every one of them just like they are, just for exactly who they are, no matter who they are.
Thank you.
You keep that and wear it.
I will. I'll wear it with pride. And I want you to tell everyone, we talked about it before you came on, but what you just did, it was a sign language sign and what that means.
That is the American Sign Language symbol. It means I love you. And we teach that to the kids in these presentations. To us, it doesn't just mean I love you. It means I support you and I got your back. And that's actually on our pledge card. And it says I am somebody on it. We leave pledge cards at every school we go to by the thousands. Right now we're going through about 30,000 pledge cards a month. We give them to the schools by the thousands free of charge. We leave them posters with our pledge on it. They sign the pledge card, they date it, and then the kids keep that card to remind them daily of their promise. Mm-hmm. We've got kids that have several of these pledge cards taped on their automobiles, on their dashboards. We've got kids that they race hot rods, and they've got them on the National Hot Rod Racing Association's national champion. You know, our logo and our pledge. They spread this message so many ways.
And I would have to agree with you. The message is being spread a lot further and a lot louder than I've ever seen it spread. Do you believe we could be at a tipping point in changing attitudes?
I do think we are. I think society is starting to finally realize that we can't continue like this. We can't live like this any longer. You know, one of the problems I've had and we've had, we can get these kids involved, and they get heavily involved. They're spreading this and they're fighting for it so much. One of the problems we have is getting the adults to take it serious. You know, too many times we've heard kids will be kids, boys will be boys. Bullying is a rite of childhood passage. It's something all kids got to go through. Why? Why do we have to do that? Why do they have to go through it? It's that way because we as a society are allowing it to be that way, Rob. You know, we don't take it serious. If I walk up to you on the street and I slap you beside the head, that's assault. And I can get arrested for that. But yet it happens in our hallways all day, every day. And that's kids will be kids? No.
Is there a profile of a bully?
No, not at all. I've been a bully. You've been a bully.
Unfortunately, probably so.
It happens. Everyone has exhibited bullying behavior. You know, what you say to me or call me today might roll right off my back. But yet tomorrow, it may crush me, depending on what I've been through in that day's time. Or you may say something to me and it doesn't mean nothing, but yet you turn around and say it to Laura and it ruins her world. Anyone can exhibit bullying behavior. At the same time, though, there are families that, you know, have a history of bullying. If mama's a bully and daddy's a bully, the kid probably going to be a bully, and grandma and grandpa probably bullies. And if we can break that cycle for one bully, and they raise their kids, think of how many people across time that's going to affect and change, you know? And it's not just the bullies themselves, it's their victims. You know, kids that are being bullies a lot of times are abused or victimized at home, you know, and then they go out and they pass that pain on. You know, it's you kick me down at work and I go home and I kick my dog behavior, you know.
You told me before we came out into the studio that sometimes you replay when Ty was alive, when you get upset on the roadways and how that could have affected him.
I use that as an instance in a lot of the evening presentations and in-service trainings that we do for schools as an example.
And these are to the adults?
Yes, sir. You know, I was a construction worker, had a pretty colorful vocabulary, and I was probably one of the world's worst at road rage. Some idiot would swing out in front of me in traffic and I'd light him up, you know, and my boy was a lot of times sitting beside me in the truck seat watching me behave that way. And 704 days ago, I got a phone call. And somebody needed me at home really bad. And I know that I cut a lot of people off in traffic that day because I made about an hour's drive into about a 30-minute one. And that is where we have to get in our society, Rob. We have to get to the point where when that happens, and especially when our babies are sitting there beside us watching us, we don't light them up. We find it in our hearts and we have to live this. We can't just act it. We have to find it in our hearts to be able to say, that poor guy must have an emergency in his life and somebody must need him somewhere really bad, and let's just hope that everything's okay for him and he gets where he's going safely. But that's what we have to learn to do, especially when we're around our kids, and to be able to do that consistently, you have to live that. You have to make that a belief. Our kids learn this by watching us. Society has caused this. You know, we've caused it. If nobody else wants to take the blame, throw it on me. I did it. Now help me fix it. We tell Ty's story every single day, 3 and 4 and 5 times a day. And we relive that day every time we tell it. And it doesn't heal, and it doesn't get better. You know, we were told after Ty died by a lot of people that time heals all wounds. No, it doesn't. And they said he's in a better place. But Rob, our baby isn't in our arms where he belongs.
Sure.
And they said things like, it'll get better and it'll get easier. And that's an outright lie. You know, I don't know what you would give if you lost a child to have him back. But I know that I would give everything in this world, my own life including, if I could put my son in his mama's arms one time for 5 minutes, just once again. And suicide has become the second leading cause of death in our young people in America, ages 10 to 24 years old. It's second only to car wrecks. Suicide second to car wrecks.
It's unfathomable. It is.
We've got kids as young as 6 that have killed themselves because of being bullied. A little boy down in the colony in Texas was 9. He retaliated against a bully that had been picking on him all year long, Montana Lance. He got caught because the second guy always does. He was sitting in the office waiting on his mama Debbie and his daddy Jason to come and pick him up and take him home. And he asked if he could go to the bathroom. They let him go in the nurse's bathroom, the only one in school that had a lock on the door. And 9-year-old Montana Lance took off his own belt and hung himself in the nurse's bathroom. And we gotta make that stop.
Well, I think you're well on the way. Hopefully you're well on the way. And I know many people are proud of you and I'd like to think that Ty would be as well.
I appreciate your help.
Good luck in your work.
Thank you.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we'll examine the correlation between bullying and school violence. Plus, we continue our conversation with the founder of Stand for the Silent, Kirk Smalley.
When we go to schools, we leave information packs. We can email information packs around on how to start a chapter of Stand for the Silent.
Stopping school bullying on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Over my career, I've interviewed presidents, celebrities, and some of our world's greatest thinkers. But I can tell you, none of those interviews were any more powerful than the one I had today with Kirk Smalley. I can't imagine a more effective spokesperson on bullying because he is what he is, a good old country boy from rural Oklahoma who had his life turned upside down. That's why I want to continue our conversation with him next week because there are just too many important things he said today to leave on the cutting room floor. I hope you join us then.